All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Up 23 points today, but you wouldn't know it from today's price action, right? I mean, all we had was a gap up, and we kind of chopped around a lot today, which we'll take a look at here in a second. But let's kind of take a look at where we are. Either way, the gap up still makes the monthly chart look a little bit better, right? So it's kind of turning this this what was more of a spinning top kind of into a red hammer, possible hanging man. But we'll see. We've got a little bit of month left, right? So further push could turn this into a green hammer this month. So that's pretty exciting. So continuing on, we could look at our weekly chart right here. We could see very interesting stuff here. We had the real body a couple weeks ago, right, forming a hammer over the upper Bollinger Band on the SPX, right? And then last week we closed below, right? Not only the close, but also the open of the prior week, right? Big range, but real body wise is kind of like a step down, right? So it kind of gave a little bearish action. Then we gapped up this week, right? And so now we've got this inside week right now where the real body is kind of making a turn. So we'll see how that becomes. Okay, but for now, with the price action, here we are, right? Here was the macro downward trend line, right? We've worked our way up through the cloud, really, really nicely. And, we gapped up, over the upper trend line, turned out to be, a false breakout. And then we took that, the prior lows down, right, leaving an open gap below. So we have these two gap magnets below, which is pretty scary, right? And volatility is still up there a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what that does. But today, kind of spinning top, narrow range day, right? So today's range was only like 10.82, right? So that's an NR7 day, right? We had an NR7 day here, but this is even less than that one, right? So from contraction, right? Expansion comes from contraction. So we'll see, what that is. Last NR7 day, back here had a big move. This NR7 day had a big move here. This NR7 day had a decent move here. This NR7 day had a decent move here. So what will this NR7 day do? So we'll see. Right in the middle of the cloud, it could go either way, right? So it's already had a big push, and we've got some, some magnets below too. So just something to kind of keep an eye on. So very, very interesting price action. So let's take a look at the intraday stuff. These are the levels that we tweet out to our subscribers, right, before the market opens. So, we can see we gapped up this morning, pretty significantly, right? And then look at this. We just kind of chopped around all day. Now, there were some moves that we had, right? So there was, we had right here. We were kind of holding the, these areas here, go bar down, right? We had a little bit of a pop here. I mean, so there were some moves. And then, of course, we had the Fed minutes today. So we had a little pause bar here, a little go bar here, right at the short-term volumetric mid-level. Right, and we also had another midpoint and the prior day's high. So we had a lot of areas right here, but it was right into the cloud, so it was really kind of tough. So they did a big flush down, right, and it was looking pretty bearish for a minute, and then they're like, oh wait, no, they just kind of reiterated everything they already said, and we've already priced that in. So let's go back up here, right? And so we had that, then we just kind of bounced around, kind of drifted down for a little bit, and then came back up. Right, so just this choppy mess today. So, obviously we prefer, I told you guys, we would get used to, we would, get spoiled with this nice volatility and get these, have these huge moves. And then when it started, kind of slowing down a little bit, we'd be like, well, what happened? Right, so today kind of felt like August, right? So we'll see how long that continues. So let's take a look at the kind of the big picture chart here. Right, and so at this point, this is kind of going all the way through 2018, 2019. Right, we've had this big golden channel right here, right, and so all of this huge push up through 2017. We get to 2018, up and down, right, double top right here, down 1, 2, 3, right, and then it finally broke down, right. Then we had a Christmas reversal, came back up, got back to the channel, right, upper midpoint line, back to the top of the channel, back down, and here we are over the midpoint line, and now we're in this resistance zone, these prior all-time highs, and just kind of hanging out here, still below the 50-day moving average, but still above the 200-day moving average. So it's kind of sandwiched in right here. So as it decides to take direction. So maybe off of this NR7 day, we'll start to see a move. And again, NR7, right, stands for narrowest range, right? Narrowest range in 7 days. So is what that means. So narrow range day, we were only like 10.67, something like that today. So pretty narrow there. So anyway, today is a concluding discussion. Even though we'll have one more day, we still have tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to apply all the turtle stuff that we've been talking about. We're going to apply it to option trading tomorrow. So it should be pretty fun to kind of talk about that. But today we're just going to conclude, what we've been kind of going over this week, and so just kind of wrap up what the turtles were doing, right? So basically what it was, right? So we had, these two guys, right? We had, Dennis and Eckhart, basically just like the movie Trading Places was based on it. They made basically a bet with each other, saying like one guy thought they could teach anybody how to trade, and the other guy said no, you got to be born with it, right? And so what they did was, well, if we just have a system, right, we'll give them the money to trade. If we just have a system, right, and they follow it, then then it'll work. So that was the idea. That's how we got to where we are here. So. So ultimately what we did is we looked at what their system was, and the system was simply a breakout system, right? They bought the the 20 days, the high of 20 days or 50 days, right? It was like 22 days or 50 days, right? So was basically it, and then they held, right? So then they held. So they held as long as they could until it hit their stop. And their original stop was they used this number that was based on volatility, and they trade commodities, and it was basically like 1 unit was their limit. Right, their stop limit, and occasionally if they were aggressive, they would do half units, but anytime it pulled back to that half unit, they would re-enter, right? And then anytime for their exits, they would wait for a 10-day low, right? For that 10-day low. If it never hit the 10-day low, they would continue to hold, right? And so the idea of the whole thing is that it was all about getting those breakouts that really lasted a long time. And so the whole point of the whole thing is that they had a system, right? And so there's a quote that Richard Dennis actually said. He said, and I quote, he says, "I always say that you could publish my trading rules in the newspaper and no one would follow them. The key is consistency and discipline. Almost anybody can make up a list of rules that are 80% as good as what we taught our people. What they couldn't do is give them the confidence to stick to those rules even when things are going bad." And that was from Market Wizards, okay? And Jack Schwager, his book, so he quoted him there. And that's the key, right? So that is the key, is to have a system that works and to follow that system, right? And to know what those, know what the results are, the average results are, so you can apply it and, write it down and have, the tools to trade with. And that's the thing. So that makes it a lot easier, right, for these folks, as long as they followed the system, right? Because it wasn't their money they were trading, right? These guys gave them the money to trade. Right, and they did it in weird increments too. Like they would give one guy $1 million to trade, and they give another person like $30,000 to trade, right? And they actually took them away from their jobs too, and then paid them whatever they were making at their other job, right? So they like someone was a teacher, I think they were making like 18 grand a year. So like, okay, we'll pay you 18 grand a year, and then here's $50,000 for you to trade, okay? And so the idea was though, not everybody succeeded, right? Not all the turtles succeeded. Right, and so some of them didn't follow the rules, right? And the ones that failed are the ones that didn't follow the rules, right? And so it's very, very interesting, right? And the problem, and here's the hardest part about this this system, right? Is that it was a horrible system. I mean, it was like percentage-wise. I mean, there were more losing trades, and there were months that went by before they could actually get a winning trade. So even if you're trading somebody else's money, if you're not winning, right? I mean that's a huge psychological thing, right? That's a huge psychological thing to not be able to succeed, right, in the trades that you have. So it could be really frustrating. So it's they start breaking the rules because it's like when they have a winning trade, right? They let it go early, right, or they take profit early, right? So that's the idea. That's how some of that is basically it. Ultimately. I don't know. There's a quote called Shep's Trading Rule. He said, "You can break the rules and get away with it, and eventually the rules break you for not respecting them." And that's from Zen in the Markets by Edward Topple, right? So that's really the key. And again, tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about it. We'll apply this stuff to options themselves. Just kind of get the concepts of it, and apply it to like an option system, idea. And kind of see how it all works out. So, but yeah, very, very tough to have a system where you're losing like, I don't know, 70, 80% of the time, and you have to wait for like the huge winners. And then even those huge winners, you got to stomach all these pullbacks, right? For the system to work. So all in all, to kind of conclude, it's this day and age, especially for most traders, it's awful, right? Especially if you're trading for cash flow. Like I trade for cash flow primarily, right? The goal is to make a living trading, right? And these guys are, playing with somebody else's money and got a salary on top of it, right? We want cash flow. So I'm not going to wait 8 months. I promise you to have a profitable trade. So, I don't even like waiting 8 hours. So, but anyway, so that's kind of the idea. So ultimately, the conclusion is this work in this day and age? Maybe for some people, who, have, other flows of income and millions of dollars that they can work with to trade and all that stuff. It could be something you can wait 8 months for a really big runner and all that stuff. That's great, because you could turn $1 million into $37 million like some of the turtles did, right? But it's just different. It's just those of us who trade for cash flow, it's completely different methodology. It's totally impossible, right? So that's the idea there. But anyway, really, really cool stuff. And I wanted to do a nice little, we'll talk a little bit more about options tomorrow, but I did want to kind of go over this system because it's interesting. You'll hear people talking about it, in the trading world. And so now it's related to the movie Trading Places, and you kind of know what the system is too. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through those. We'll try to wrap up by 10:30 and get through as many as we can. And oh, by the way, Shirley has been here. She's been listening in. She just hasn't had, her other account got suspended. And I asked her how it happened, but she never got back to me. So, but what she did do is she emailed me a list of stocks to look at. And I told her, I said, Shirley, you can just make another account, right? Just make another Gmail account, and you can get into YouTube. So you can make 100 different accounts, and just when next time you get kicked out of YouTube, you can use the other one, right? But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and paste these in here so we get to them, okay? And so everybody can kind of see them, okay? Because she does have cool levels. I'll have to tweet them in separately. So, but yeah, I'll paste those in there. So we'll go through those, toward the end. Actually, let me go ahead. Let me put a few in here real quick. Give me 1 second. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. So, let's see. How did she do it? Let me see if I can get a couple of these here. I'll see if I can do 2 at a time. I asked for 5, and she got me 7. Hold on, let's see. So let me post this here. See how that looks if I post. No, still 2. I'll have to go through each one separately. I'll do each one separately when we get to it later, okay? So SMDC4S, what is happening? President accounted for. Good to see you. Enjoy Life Apparel. Hello. Cool one. What's going on? Good to see you. Sarah, hello. Good evening. Cool one. Can we go Zen and CRWD? Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a look at Zen. Let's look at it on the. So that's kind of interesting. That's pretty cool. If we do a we recently looked at it, right? We had this upward trend line right here, right? We had some minor pivots. If it broke down below those, we would see a downside movement, and we did. So give me a minute here while the computer refreshes. Okay, let me just go back here. All right, so at this point, right? So we did put it, since we did this last trend line, we did put in a new high. So we'll activate this draw and go to that high, and then we'll go to this next minor pivot right here. Okay, so what it did was it gave it that low right here, 83.22. Once it broke down, we had here, there's our low, there's our pivot, right? So it's breaking out nicely, right? We had a little minor pivot the last couple days, and it's continuing to work its way up. So yeah, so I love it. It held the 200-day moving average, and it's starting to look pretty strong here. So that looks good. CRWD. Let's see what CRWD has got. So this thing's been interesting, right? This is a recent IPO, right? It's had its first earnings already. It was really strong for a little bit, tried to hold, and then now it's put in a new high at 100, amazingly. And there's your levels right here. So far, obviously bullish until proven otherwise. We did have a bearish day today, right? It could kind of work its way down to the trend line and then see if that holds for a potential move to the upside. So nice stuff there. Harvey, what's going on? Good to see you. Alpesh, hello, hello. Amazon thoughts. Let's take a look. So AMZN. Yeah, guys. So my thoughts on Amazon is wow, right? It is. It's interesting. There's been some insider selling. Not only has Bezos sold, but I saw notes that several more executives have been selling positions in Amazon. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that they're getting ready to expecting some sort of down move, whatever the case is. But we can see here, this is where we're at, right? So we have this. Wow, actually, we have an ascending triangle right now, which is overall bearish, right? It has a 38% chance of actually breaking out. So we have an ascending triangle here now too, which is kind of neat. So we do have these minor pivots. This is the first trend line breakout right here. So basically 1834.26. So basically 1835. If it can push over that, we might see a little bit of a pop in that, but just be careful with this ascending triangle right here, because a lot of times we see undershoots of it right before it continues to work. So that's very, very interesting the way it's forming this this trend line break. So just keep an eye on that. There are definite thoughts on this. So 1835 is very, very interesting. So we could get a pop, but a lot of times we get false breakouts out of these ascending triangles too. They're very, very tricky, like Lulu, right? So they get very, very tricky moves. So just be careful. And we had a very narrow range day today too. So we have 14-point range right on that. So it's not an NR7, but very, very close. And not a lot of movement. So Amazon's been kind of out of play for the past couple days, other than the gaps. And so we'll have to see how it behaves in this ascending triangle. So definitely something to keep an eye on. So NetFry, what's going on? Bank of America? Bank of America. It's actually BAM. Yeah, very, very narrow range day as well. I'll wait till this loads up here. Okay. Yeah, another narrow range day on Bank of America. It looks like it might have gone inside day. Not quite, just extend a little bit, but very, very, but a doji on this one, right? So just be careful with that. I mean, right now it's kind of just middle range, kind of doji-ish, right? So, it is kind of working its way up, right? But this was the ultimate trend line it wanted to get over, right? We do have new lows right here. Let's take a look. Actually, activate here. Okay, so there's your low. There's your pivot. So it's got some work to do, right? It's got to get over 2770 for it to really kind of get moving. So very interesting stuff there. Harvey, Win, and Microsoft. I think Win had another good day today if I saw it correctly. Nope, down 45 cents. But still, it's been working its way up since we took a nice swing on this one. So we caught that nice gap. That was great. So still working its way up, right? Little consolidated move right here. So just kind of pull back a little bit. Just make sure it holds these lows here, right? So that's kind of the key on Win. And then MSFT, Mr. Softy. Let's take a look. Yeah, another doji here. Just a really flat day in the market, guys. Only a few things really kind of moved. Like Netflix had a nice down move today. Boeing had a beautiful up move today. So really, really nice stuff there. So yeah, let's see. So good stuff right there. Nice doji there. So again, and still Microsoft, we have this extra channel that we've been looking at, right? So this is this bigger channel, right? So we're kind of in the middle of that range too, but we are over the 50-day moving average, and it could get constructed. This could be just like a little, as Jeff Cooper would call it, a crouching tiger type thing. So just kind of a little pause right here and then go. So a little kind of doji sandwich possibility, right? So neat stuff there. You know what I didn't catch yesterday? I don't know if anybody's going to ask about Roku, but I'm just going to pull up Roku really quickly. Guys, I don't know how I didn't see this last night, and I know we looked at it a couple times, and we even looked at it twice. And a lot of times it's because I was, maybe looking at these charts, but I didn't realize how much of a doji that was. We had a doji sandwich yesterday on Roku. Look at that. Big move, pause with a doji, right, and then up, and look, it tagged those levels too. It was crazy price action today. A lot of it was at the open, right? You had to catch this really quickly, but we did have a doji sandwich today, so nice up move on that today. Anyway, that's Roku. So still looking bullish otherwise, by the way. So it's still continuing its way up. Sorry. Cool. TJF, what's happening? Over the 50-day moving average, and it broke over this minor pivot this morning, right, for a nice move to the upside. So nice move on TTT. Definitely bullish, right? Definitely fresh bullish. So we'll see what kind of price action it gives us tomorrow. CSCO, I was looking at this one as a potential swing today. It gave us an inside day today. Let's see when it pulls up here. So Cisco gave wasn't it? It was an inside day. Yeah, sorry guys. It was an inside day yesterday, I believe. Yeah, 80-40. Yeah, it was by a penny. It was an inside day up today. So it had an inside day yesterday, and it closed above that inside day high. So I think that's very bullish price action, right? And interesting too. It had a big gap here too this day. So it is getting bullish, right? It is recovering, pretty nicely from its from its gap down. So let's see. I think it's definitely worth looking into. And then BKNG. That's a little bird's favorite. Just kidding. But man, when it moves, if you can catch BKNG and it actually moves, then you're good, right? But trying to scalp BKNG, not cool. Not cool. It was like $2-3 spread sometimes. It's like, no, thanks. Pass. But yeah, just like everything, this is kind of really consolidating. It's got the it's in kind of a resistance zone right here. I'll just put up a little box right here to show you. Like, see, there's like a couple highs right here. This is all kind of heavy resistance right now, right? As it gets into that, so just be careful. It might give a little down move off of that zone. Nudie poo, Tilray. Yeah, let's take a look. So Tilray had, I think, some news today. It had like a little didn't it have like a little pop today somewhere? I need to go back and look at the price action of it. Let's see. So it had a pretty, I mean, it looks like nothing down here right now. It is, I will say this, it is breaking out of the downward trend line, right? So this is bullish activity on Tilray. But if we go here, yeah, they had like a pop at the end of the day, right there. So I can't remember what the news was. Something came out, and then you had a bull flag into the close. So very, very nice move right there, and it's just kind of consolidating after hours. But yeah, so it is starting to look bullish on the daily chart too, right? So it's starting to break out of that minor pivot. So nice stuff there on Tilray. Jimmy, what's happening? Hope you're doing well, man. Hope everything's going okay. Yeah, we're good here. Let's take a look. So PFE, BIAB, and Merck. Yeah, I looked at these. I didn't look at BIAB, but I looked at PFE. PFE has been on the radar for such a long time, and I don't want to miss it when it's ready to move, but I didn't want to swing it today just because, well, let's see what the chart looks like here. Okay, because it did put in this minor pivot, but it's inside day. I think maybe this is inside day today, and it's if it breaks out here and it gets over 35, 32, it could start to work its way up. I think they won some FDA type stuff or whatever they go for, right? So there is a chance on that. I will put an alert on this to see if we can catch it if it is ready to move above that minor pivot. So that's kind of important. BIB. Oh, that came in wrong. That didn't type right. It came in as IB. Wonderful. B. IIB. Okay. Okay, so Biogen. Let's get this pulled up here. All right, inside day on Biogen too. So yeah, looks like a lot of these are doing very, very similar type setups, right? So not as pretty as the as Pfizer, but if you could get over these levels inside day up, get over the day moving average, and get over 236.64, right? It could see a pop there, and then MRK, Merck's already made a move, I believe. Yeah, it had a very bullish day today. So it's been basically working on this channel. It's been holding the 50-day moving average, but the moving average has been kind of flat. But it did hit a high today, recent high. So it is, it was working up a smaller channel to get back into the bigger channel, right? So it is in the bigger channel now. That's that red line there. If I can pull it up here. Yep. So it's at a bigger channel here, right? So for a long time, it was working on this channel. Then it broke down a little bit, right? And then it kind of started to form this little minor channel right here, and now it's back in the bigger channel. So definitely something to keep an eye on for potential bullish activity. Paul, what's going on? No Fed tomorrow. Game on. That's right. Hobbs, what's happening? SQ? All right, let's see. So So Square has been doing pretty good, guys. We had that downward trend line. We had a nice minor pivot break right here, and it's continuing to chug a lug all the way up. So let's see if it can continue this trend, right? It's been kind of nasty trading, right, with all these doji days, but it is working its way up. It's kind of those ones you just like kind of swing and, keep your fingers crossed, right? Or just don't look at it when it's going, right? Okay. iSurge, I like to call this one the big boy stock because this one is tough to trade. This thing can, so we have this kind of this thing going on right here. So starting to break out here. So we'll see if it can continue that to the upside. And I'm sure you have an awesome count on it. Raymond, what's happening? Good to see you. INSEE, thank you for tuning in and thank you for your support. Let's take a look. So INSEE, right, is kind of following this kind of very wavy type pattern right here as it kind of continues to bounce off the 200-day moving average. It is above, some volumetric support, which is good. but it is very, very choppy here, right? So just be careful with this. It's just kind of in this channel really. So it is starting to work its way up, but just watch the way it moves, right? It likes to kind of come back down, then pop, then come back down, then pop. So it might have another pop up here, but then it comes back down, right? So just be careful swinging that if you're in that. MG, what's happening? So cost is great to study. I'm sorry, great to trade after earnings. So at this point, we're seeing a lot of strength in retail. Lots of good things are happening. Position in this one, I am kind of liking it, but again, I'm not afraid. Here's your hi there, what's happening? Yeah, we looked at Roku. Yeah, it's great. So so far so good on Roku. So nice job. Great trading too. Call saw. Hey, what's going on? Sorry late, but here. Fram. Yeah. So let's take a look at Facebook. So Facebook would have had some nasty price action today. Looks like it did put an inside day here. So, basically at this point, Facebook is still kind of trying to break out. So just watch how it behaves around, today's and yesterday's highs, and then if it can get over the Monday's high, then we could see a pop in it. Maybe we'll see could see a pop up to like 192 to the trend line there. We looked at Roku. I'm sorry, the 50 moving average. We looked at Roku. Let's take a look at Apple. So Apple is actually starting to look pretty good, guys. Remember we talked about we had a double topping tail yesterday. So topping tail, right? Kind of bearish, and talked about having to get over these resistance zones. We pretty much closed over these levels. Okay, so it looks like it's compressing and ready for another move to the upside. Personally, that's what it looks like to me. So Apple is very, very interesting. Amazon, again, we just looked at that too. Very narrow range day. It needs to pop over. What was that 1835 level? So that's going to be key. And then Microsoft we just looked at too. So good stuff. Wendy, good morning. Hope everything's good in Singapore. Is there a morning briefing video for newsletter subscribers? There is. Okay, so here's how we do it. So we've got the newsletter, right? So that's kind of a standalone subscription. Then there's the upgrade where you go where you get access to the private Twitter feed. Okay, and so the private Twitter feed, we do a morning update. Everything is kind of tweeted out, right? And so we talk about what the futures are looking like, what the what our key stocks are looking like, what our morning stuff is looking like, the orbs and everything like that, all the stuff we're going to trade, gap and go type stuff, and then we go live for the first hour. Hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes of the market, right? So we go through, we look at all the orb stocks here. You can kind of see them right here. This is the stuff we look at this morning, like Target, Lowe's and all that stuff. And then we have the 30 orbs that we look at. So we look at those for the first, couple hours. We look for any movers within the NARF stocks here, right? And, so we just we go live and we talk about trades and we look at stuff and sometimes we take them, right? So we go through that live. And then after that, it's basically, anything that we see intraday, we tweet out. If I trade something, I tweet an entry, and then at the end of the day, we go live for the close, and we go over stuff that we might look at swinging overnight, and then after that, we do a recap video, which would be your morning, your very early morning, and and we kind of just do a complete summary of the market, so kind of a take, and all that stuff. So it's pretty comprehensive, right? With all that, we do a lot of tweets and videos and educational stuff. So yeah, or as SMDC4S said, yes. So yeah, but yeah, I tweet all the most interesting stuff in the morning, and then we go live for the open. So Eric, how's it going? Hope everything went well for you yesterday. In your conversation, so I hope that went okay. GLD. So looking good. Again, a little pause day right here too. It was definitely in play for a while when volatility started getting really high. A lot of money flowing into this. You can see all the volume right here, right? And then now we kind of have this minor pivot here. And we're kind of consolidating, right? So at this point, it kind of looks like a little bit of a pennant type thing working here, right? So just if you can get over this pitchfork level, get over today's and yesterday's highs, we might see a little bit of a move on it. So, but it's gold, right? So it can do this for a while if it wants to, right? These are, amazing moves, right, for gold for the most part. But when volatility is high, anything can happen. So yeah, it's good stuff. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in Shirley's stuff. So okay, so her first trade, and then you can look at if anybody who loves to see her stuff, like her win ratios. So their first one is NWSA. So let's tweet that here. So, and Shirley is here. She is listening. So NWSA. Let's take a look. Did that come through? You guys see that? I can barely see it. It doesn't look like it came through. Error. Edit and try again. Okay. Error. Edit and try. All right, guys. It's going to be hard for me to actually post that. Maybe now? Okay, that's weird. Let me see. Wow, it won't let me type in the chat box. That's so funny. Okay, so Shirley, you've been blocked completely. No, I'm just kidding. So her first one is NWSA. So I'm just going to go through the stocks and just kind of name them. Okay, so NWSA, we'll take a look here. There's only a few of them. I asked for 5. I think I got 7. All right, so NWSA, let's take a look. News Corp. Okay. So had earnings, nice pop after earnings, consolidating, possible move. Okay, but it is below the upward trend line, so just be careful. Right? It has some work to do. It needs to put in a new high to shift that. Okay, so Shirley's thoughts on that were entry at 14.19, target of 16.41. Okay, let's take a look. Shirley, is that why you got blocked? You need to email me. And why? I mean, like, is it because of what you were posting? Like that? Like ideas? Anyway, MDLZ was the next. So Mondelez. Maybe you need to put all your targets and stuff in Roman numerals. So big consolidation on Mondelez. Surely, Mondelez is tough to trade. Okay, we looked at trading this the other day after earnings, and it was really, really tough to trade. I mean, I know you probably do shares, but with options, it was really, really tough. I mean, some of the spreads got really nutty, and for some reason, I am losing my trend line here. But here is this. Here is this. Okay, so it's below all this stuff and it's consolidating. So just be careful. A breakdown below any of these lows could lead to more downside movement. HD obviously was very strong today. Yesterday. But guys, this was interesting, right? So we've talked about before, technique. Anytime anything gaps up on earnings, right? The next day tactic is to trade with a breakout through that level, and it looks really, really easy when you look at the daily chart. But when you go to the lower time frame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a level here for like yesterday's highs. This is going to be approximate. Okay, so we'll just put that there. Okay, and I'm going to do a 3-minute chart here. I'm going to show you how difficult it was, but also how possible it was too. So one, if this was what your focus was this morning instead of anything else, right, could have caught that. Okay, so that was a momentum move through here, right, with a stop at the low of the day. It could have made that push right there. And then a couple other times it tested it again, right, came back down to those levels, and then consolidated, and then finally gave a go bar to go. Okay, so but here that's the momentum move through there, and it actually chopped it, so it made it really, really frustrating to get this move. But it is a tactic to get through there. So very, very interesting stuff. That's how you can catch new highs, is through the prior day's gap high. Okay, MRK we actually already looked at, was one of hers. So AZN is next. I wonder if it's because of how you're posting stuff. I mean, I literally could not post it. Like it wouldn't. Like I mean, can I even chat here? I mean, I should be able to chat, right? Yeah, so I could say hi. Hey Jay, how's it going? So I could say hi, but for some reason I can't post your entries. It says with a stop. It won't let me do it. That is really, really interesting. Anyway, let me go back. Sorry, what was I looking at? All right, so AZN, AstraZeneca. So you're into the. A lot of people are interested in these pharmaceutical ones today. Activate. All right, so it failed to break down, so we shifted our trend line here, and it's continuing to work its up. So bullish until proven otherwise, Shirley. And next is NWL. Newell Brands. Okay, nice high right there. Activate. Move there. Okay, good. Bullish until proven otherwise as well, and over that volumetric level. And finally, XOG. ZOG. XOG. Extraction oil and gas. Cool. So it is having trouble getting over that resistance zone, Shirley, so just be careful with that one, right? So we have this. Right, there's your high, there's your pivot level, basically right there. So it needs to hold. It needs to hold this trend line, okay? And that should be okay. So good stuff. It's okay, Jay. I'm glad you made it, man. So good stuff, everybody. Awesome discussion. Thanks for tuning in. And tomorrow we're going to wrap everything up with the turtle trading method. We're going to talk about how to kind of apply some of those techniques with options, and then before you know it, we'll be ready for the week. So I hope everybody gets a great night rest for an awesome trading day tomorrow. Again, if anybody, if you're new here on YouTube, definitely give us a subscribe. We do this every market night. Also check us out on Twitter. And all the links are in the description. And you can also check us out at positive-trends.com. So have a great rest of your evening. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.